good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the time when you're watching this video. Welcome to the recorded discussion or presentation for our topic for week number 4 in oral communication, which is all about the intercultural communication. Okay, so when we say intercultural communication, it happens when individuals interact, negotiate, and create meanings while bringing in their varied cultural backgrounds. Intercultural communication means that there is an interaction or a cooperation or something that happens between a person 1 from the culture 1 and person 2 who came from culture number 2. It may also goes on the situations when there are 3 or more people who came from various cultural backgrounds. It may be 3 cultures or more. So that's what we call the intercultural communication from the word inter, which means multiple, and cultural. It means that it is the communication between the people in different cultural backgrounds or different cultural practices. When communicating in a multicultural context, understanding the tradition and values of the other culture is essential. So we have learned from the past week that we should be understanding or considerate with the people or with the person to whom we are communicating to, because the topic or the message itself may offend or hurt the feelings of that person. It's very important to apply being considerate in intercultural communication because you practice different cultures. Remember, a topic or a message can be offending to his or her culture while it's not on your culture. However, you should learn to adjust so that you can build a good impression to the others with different cultural backgrounds. And then we have here two different terminologies that are related to the intercultural communication. We have the ethnocentrism and ethno-relativism. Let's proceed first to the ethnocentrism. So when we say ethnocentrism, it is judging another culture solely by the values and standards of one's own culture. From the word itself, it means that you're just biased or centered towards your culture. On the other hand, you have a negative perception towards another culture. You tend to generalize or left bad impression to the people who practice other culture just because it doesn't match with the culture that you're practicing. So that's the ethnocentrism. You have negative perception towards the other cultures. Ethnocentric individuals judge other groups relative to their own ethnic group or culture, especially with concern for language, behavior, customs, and religion. So it means that being ethnocentric, you're not just insulting or judging the culture itself. You're also judging the people who are practicing the other culture. Just like, for example, when they speak another language, you mock their accent. When they have different behavior, you label them as person with special needs or mental disabilities, customs, and even religion. So one example of being ethnocentric is that you treat your own culture as the superior. Let's say you're Filipino, you believe that the Filipino culture is the greatest and the best culture among all other cultures in the world, even better than the biggest and the most popular cultures around the world. So that's being ethnocentric. You have an ill feeling towards another culture and you tend to glorify your own culture. So that's for the ethnocentrism. If we have that term, we have its opposite term. And its opposite term is ethno-relativism. So ethno-relativism is a belief based on deep and heartfelt respect for other cultures that all groups, cultures, or subcultures are inherently equal. So ethno-relativism means that you have equal feelings to the other cultures. You're not judging them, but instead, you respect other culture. You're open-minded on the cultural differences between different countries, between different regions in your country, and even different social groups where different people belong. Being ethno-relativist means that you're not glorifying your own culture. You're also recognizing the fact or reality that other cultures exist and they don't antagonize or they're not more inferior compared to your own culture. So that's for the ethno-relativism. In ethno-relativism also, other cultures are seen neither as better or worse. So again, you have equal perspective to your culture and the other cultures, but as equally valid but different and complex worldviews. So again, you recognize the reality that different culture exists and there is no right or wrong culture. It depends on the choice of the person who is practicing the culture of his or her choice. So that is the difference between ethno-relativism and ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism, you believe that your culture is better than the others, and the other cultures are more inferior than your own culture. On the other hand, ethno-relativism means that you treat every culture, including yours, as equal. There is no right or wrong culture. It depends upon the choice of a person. So let's have a traffic light reflection. Kindly assess based on your understanding from our discussion for the first part of our topic. So let's see now the developmental model of intercultural sensitivity. As you can see, we have 6 different levels of intercultural sensitivity. And we have like a ranking from the most ethnocentric, which is denial, to most ethno-relativist, which is integration. As you can see, from left to right, it tends to be more ethno-relativist. So we will use this later on to identify the situation of a person depending on his or her intercultural sensitivity level. But before that, let's have a let's have a little background about developmental model of intercultural sensitivity. So this model was developed by Milton Bennett. Again, this model was developed by Milton Bennett. It has also a name, Bennett scale, which came from the last name of the proponent of this model. It aims to describe the standard ways in which people experience, interpret, and interact across cultural differences. So we have learned a while ago that there are 6 intercultural sensitivity levels, and we determine the level of a person based on how they perceive, how they interpret, how they view, and how they respond on the cultural differences that they encounter either through face to face or real life interaction with people who practice various cultures or sometimes from the internet or even from what he or she hears from the others. So that's for the developmental model of intercultural sensitivity. This model is divided into two main parts or two main levels. We have the ethnocentric, which consists of the levels denial, defensiveness, and minimization. For the second level or second classification, we have the ethno-relativist or ethno-relative, which consists of levels of acceptance, adaptation, and integration. So we will discuss one by one each level of intercultural sensitivity. For the number one, we have the denial. So for the level of denial, from the word itself, we are denying the fact or the reality that different cultures exist among different nations, different regions, and different social groups. You're not open to interculturalism or the existence of various cultures. You have a closed mind about the other cultures, since you believe that your culture is the only culture that exists here in this world or in this society. And then you may also know that there are other cultures. However, you tend to consider them as irrelevant or not valid or incorrect. So that's the most prototype level of ethnocentric rather. You label the other culture as irrelevant, incorrect, or invalid. So that's for the first level. Also, you perceive people from different cultures in simplistic, undifferentiated, and often self-serving ways. So it means that when you encounter a person or the group of people who practice different culture, you tend to also mistreat or build a negative impression, or you tend to judge them based on their culture. You believe that their culture is incorrect or invalid or irrelevant. Therefore, you have a negative perception or you treat them in a negative way just because of that. So for the denial, again, we have something negative feelings or perceptions and even treatment to the other people who practice different culture. Let's have this one. People in the denial stage will lump other cultures into vague, homogenized categories such as foreigner, immigrant, or Asian. It means that people in the denial stage tend to give a negative level to the people who practice another culture. Aside from these examples, we also use the racist word Chekwa to refer to the Chinese and the term Mumbai for the Indians. That's also examples of the denial, since we have a negative level to the person or people who practice different culture. And these terms, we usually witness this when we are in the United States or in any other country with various cultures and various country of origin. Just like Asian, Filipinos in the other countries or abroad are not safe in the label or negative label of Asian, especially in the United States. Immigrant. We usually hear this in the United States. Sometimes it can be referred to the Mexican refugees or the refugees from the Central and South America. And foreigner, especially for the homogeneous countries, when they saw a tourist or someone who has different appearance, style, and even the culture, if through deep understanding, then we tend to sometimes label them as foreigner. So that's for the denial stage. Another example, they will stereotype, demean, or dehumanize others by assuming that different cultural dispositions must be the result of deficiencies. People in the denial level also believe that others who practice different culture are like They have different mentality, or they're like mentally retarded, or they have mental disabilities. So that's also a person who manifests the denial level of intercultural sensitivity, since you cannot accept the reality that different cultures exist and that not all people practice your own culture. So that's for the denial. For the second one, we have defense. From the word itself, it means that we are invalidly defending our culture against the other cultures. Defense against cultural difference occurs when people perceive other cultures in polarized, competitive, zero sum, or us against them terms. It means that in the defense level, you treat the other cultures and the people who practice those other cultures as your enemy and the enemies of the culture that you're practicing. That's why it's called defense. It's like your culture versus the other cultures. You who's practicing your culture and the others who are practicing other cultures. Examples: immigrants are taking our jobs. I remember my mom told me that she has a friend who immigrated to Canada. And when her friend was hired in a pharmaceutical company, one resident there told her that she is a threat to the job security in Canada. As you can see, that resident is in defense level because he or she labeled my mom's friend as a threat on job security, or the one who steals a job from the residents there. Another one, our traditional values are under assault. So this is common in the monocultural society or homogeneous society. When they notice that a tourist or a person practices another culture, then he or she tends to label that culture as a threat to their national culture. So that's for defense. In defense level also, you exalt your own culture over the other cultures. So again, you tend to believe that your culture versus other cultures, and your culture is the winner and the other cultures as losers. Just like for example here, white nationalism. So white nationalism was formed after the Black Lives Matter movement. This was formed because in the Black Lives Matter, other people tend to believe that the white people are the main oppressors of the black people. That is why some racist white people in the United States formed a white nationalism or white lives matter as a counter to the Black Lives Matter. And then people in defense level also, they feel victimized or attacked in discussions about bias, bigotry, or racism. In other words, people in the defense level are guilty when it comes to the racism and other issues that involve inequality or inhuman treatment just because of the differences. Defense may also manifest in efforts to deny people from other cultures equal access or opportunity. It means that you're also in the defense level if you are not giving a person or the people from another culture anything that they deserve. Just like, for example, in the discounts, senior citizens are subjected to 20% discount. However, since a grandmother is from an ethnic minority, you're not availing her a 20% discount. Let's say you're a cashier or the owner of a supermarket. That's a form of being in defense level since you're not giving a grandmother from the ethnic minority the discount that she deserves. So that's for the level of defense. It's like your culture versus other cultures. And you treat your culture as better than the other culture. Number three, we have the minimization. Minimization of cultural difference occurs when people assume that their distinct cultural worldview is shared by others. People in minimization believe that the culture that they are practicing is also the culture being practiced by the other people. Let's say for a Korean, a Korean in minimization level thinks that Korean culture is not just practiced in South Korea, but also in other countries. So in minimization, the key word here is that you're just focused on the similarities of different cultures, and you tend to deny that differences in the culture exist. So it also manifests when they perceive or when you perceive their culture's values as fundamental or universal human values that apply to everyone. So again, in minimization level, you have a mindset that my culture is also the other culture or the culture of the other people. My culture of my country is also the culture of another country. So you tend to focus on the similarities. When people obscure, disregard, or neglect the importance of cultural differences. So again, in minimization, you believe that only cultural similarities exist. The differences are not non-existing, or you know that it exists, but you deny that it is true or applicable to everyone. For example, we have the statements such as, we try to treat everyone equally, or I don't see color. For I don't see color statement, it means that you're denying the reality that different colors exist. And from the differences of the color of this colors of the skin are also the differences in the culture. And then for we try to treat everyone equally, you're just reasoning or providing a reason that is invalid that your culture is also the culture of the others. So that's for the minimization. Minimization may also manifest in arguments that human similarities are more important than cultural differences. Again, in this level, you're just focused on the similarities rather. You're just focused on the similarities of different cultures. And then on the cultural differences, you're just like no comment, or I don't believe that there are differences between various cultures. Another example claims that deep down humans are all alike. So again, minimization, only similarities, no differences. And it may also manifest in us Filipinos when we notice that other Asian cultures are family oriented as well. Sometimes we have a belief that, oh, Filipino culture is similar to Chinese culture, to Indian culture, to Indonesian culture, to Japanese culture, since they're all family oriented and they're all Asian cultures. So that's for the level of minimization. Again, in minimization, you believe that we should only focus on cultural similarities and not on differences. So we have already discussed that first three levels, which belong to ethnocentric. How about for ethno-relativists, we have the lowest level for ethno-relativist, which is acceptance. From the word itself, you accept the fact or reality that different cultures exist because of various factors. You're open minded now on the cultural differences. You don't have any ill feeling or negative perception to the other culture. You just accept and realize that hmm, cultural differences are common across various countries, even across various regions in the country, and even in different social or any groups where different people belong. From the word itself, you accept the cultural differences. In acceptance, also, you have a greater curiosity about or interest in other cultures. Since you're open minded when it, when, it, when it regards to the other cultures, you also tend to develop a willingness to know and learn the other cultures. And people may start to seek out cross cultural relationships and social interactions. It means that people in acceptance stage, they are willing to communicate with others who practice different cultures. So this is the start of the level where people is willing or open-minded when it comes to intercultural communication. So again, that's for the acceptance level. You accept the fact or the reality that different cultures exist and you have a willingness to learn the other cultures. So that's for the fourth level, which is acceptance. How about for adaptation? So adaptation involves the extension of your repertoire of beliefs and behavior, not a substitution of one set for another. It means that you can already practice another culture when you're in the country or when you're with the citizens or the nationals of a country where that culture is being practiced. From the word adapt, you can now adapt the culture number two when you're with the foreigners or when you're with the people who came from different cultural background. So best example of a person who is in adaptation level is a Filipino who likes to drink. We all know that Filipino likes to drink different alcoholic drinks. Let's say that Filipino went to Saudi Arabia to work, let's say as a construction worker. However, he was shocked that there are no alcoholic drinks being sold in Saudi Arabia since it's a Muslim country. We all know that in Islam or the Muslim people, they don't drink alcoholic beverages. They believe that drinking alcohol or liquor is a form of sin. Because of that, the Filipino has no choice but to adjust on the existing culture in Saudi Arabia. Adaptation level also means that you can adjust your culture based on the area or country or even the people you are with or where you are in the current situation. So that's for the adaptation. You adjust or you tend to adapt on the culture of the others when you're with them or when you're in the country of that culture. We have here, last but not the least, which is integration. So, integration occurs when someone's identity or sense of self evolves to incorporate the values, beliefs, perspectives, and behaviors of other cultures in appropriate and authentic way. So it means that when you're in the integration level, the other culture is not just being practiced when you're in the country or when you're with the people of that culture, but that other culture is now part of your life. Let's say, for example, when you're a fan of Korean drama or Korean music, you're not just practicing it just because there are Koreans or you're in Korea, but it's now part of your daily life. And then people are able to experience themselves as multicultural beings. So remember, when you're in the integration level, you're now a multicultural person since you're not just practicing your native culture, but also the culture of another group or country or geographical region. Another example of a person who is in integration level is Chloe Sanse, Carlos Yulo's girlfriend. Chloe San Jose, though she's a Filipino or Filipina, she grew up in Australia. Since she lived in Australia for quite a long time, she already adapted the culture of Australia or the Western society. That's why when she reached or when she came here in the Philippines, she's also now practicing the Western culture. Best example is during the time that the controversy of Carlos Yulo and her mother sparked in the country. Chloe San Jose believed that the parents should not ask utang na loob or a favor from their children. It's the opposite of the culture of the Filipino and the other Asian cultures wherein parents should ask favor from their children or the children should return the favor to their parents. See that Chloe San Jose practices also another culture. She's also practicing Filipino culture, but not fully anymore. When it comes to certain situations, she's practicing Western culture. And it also shows on her clothing choices. So that's for the integration. You tend to label yourself as a multicultural person since you're now practicing your culture or your native culture and another culture. With that, that's all for our discussion for week number 4. If you have questions, clarifications, concerns, or reactions, kindly send a private message or just send first your queries to your class mayor so that your class mayor will send all of your queries in just one message and I will answer all of your queries in just one message as well. With that, thank you so much for your time in listening in this online or recorded discussion, and apologies for the inconvenience. Thank you, and God bless you all.